Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Period on the end of this one. I can't see. Sloan Hollis has Hollis. And through the door. Sloan Hollis just slammed Evan Atlas through the door as a receipt to that clothesline. Don't mess with the ref. That's gonna do it for us. That's gonna do it for us here at the Road to the Rumble.
Welcome to Around the
Mad,
Turnbuckle.
bro?
I'm Big Al. That is the professor. That is the cutest ref, Sloan Hollis down there. What's up, Sloan?
How you doing?
As we just saw, one of my favorite recent highlights of your career, because, you know, that guy attacked me backstage, but he hadn't done it yet, but that was prior to that. But thank you for that.
It was my honor.
You know, earlier that match was chaotic. It was a lot of fun for the professor and I to call. I know it was not a lot of fun for yourself. I know it was a lot of fun for Merrick Miami or Evan Atlas or even Marshall Moore. There was referees laying all over the place. There was doors broken. There was Miami came out on top, and Evan Atlas did not like our commentary. And if the professor had arrived 20 minutes earlier, he would have been on the receiving end of what I was on the receiving end of. So thank you for that slam. Please. Thank you.
Yeah, it was my honor. He had it coming. I told him in the promos, and I told him before I did it, like, just keep your hands off of me.
I mean, let's face it. Really, at this point, there's two forces of evil in the SWO at this point. It's the POS, and it's the full-time bully Evan Atlas. And you know, he's probably going to come after me for saying this now, and that's fine. I mean, he's put 2/3 of the commentary team through some kind of a beating at this point. So you know what? I trust our owner, our commissioners, our officials, everything else. But I mean, this man is out of control. He is a force unto himself. He calls himself the full-time beast. And to me, he's the full-time bully. When you attack someone weaker than yourself, you are a bully. You're attacking yourself. You're an official. No one should be putting their hands on an official unless they want to work for free, or maybe they don't want to work there at all. Certainly, they shouldn't put their hands on Al. You know, Marshall Moore was an official that night. Nobody should be putting their hands on Marshall Moore, and I'm not a fan of Marshall Moore. We all know that. You have to deal with month in and month out with Marshall Moore, but as he pointed out, and look, Marshall Moore, to his credit, maybe is finally starting to see the light now that he's been in the ring, now that he knows what goes on. Certainly, he was saying the right things when we were in the booth last month. So hopefully it's finally starting to get through to him. He's been backing the wrong horses and he's been hanging out with the wrong crowd. We can only hope.
Yeah, no, I know. I definitely appreciated him lending a hand with that whole Miami Atlas ordeal, because I was laid out for half the match. So, you know, getting anyone to lend me a hand was good. It was surprising to see that it was him.
All right, so let's back up a little bit. Okay. And we're gonna basically say this, and we say this to everybody that is on this show, is somewhere in your life you fell in love with professional wrestling. You would not be here on this show. You would not be at the SWO refereeing. You would not have something to do with the business and even put your body on the line for our entertainment. So please tell us that story.
So I actually have two, because when I was a kid, I was born in North Jersey, like the shadow of Manhattan. So my grandparents, they were bigwigs for the concession company at Giant Stadium. And so my grandfather got to meet like Andre and Captain Lou and, you know, like a lot of people. So that, of course, meant wrestling was on every time I was at my grandparents' house. I was a little Hulkster, of course, but as time went on, I just kind of fell out of touch with it. And then fast forward to late middle school, I think it was. And I was following Kurt Angle through college into the Olympics. And then I followed Kurt Angle into the WWF and never looked back.
I think I actually watched one of Kurt Angle's first dark matches. It was a Raw that I can't remember the year, but he had not debuted yet. And it was one of his first dark matches. And I think he was still doing a lot of the like Olympic amateur stuff because people were chanting boring and this, that. And like he was not polished. He was not Kurt Angle yet. And I always hold on to that memory because it's like that's the fun of what we do now with independent wrestling and stuff. You're watching these guys when they're still clay. They haven't quite figured it out yet. And then if you can hit that moment, and I've done it once or twice, where you can find a guy that the switch hits and they figure it out.
Yeah.
Magic. It's indescribable.
No, that's one of the things that I love most about content being so readily available is like when I put on an AEW, WWE, NWA, I see between the major televised companies, like I see dozens of people that I've worked shows with in the past that, like we went to Sheets after a gig together. And now here they are on a damn pay-per-view. Like it's amazing. The catharsis, getting to see someone that, one of your siblings in arms, getting to see them make it it's that good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I want to put this comment back up here by My Name is Bobby, who says the commitment, professionalism, and love she puts into reffing shows, and also she will enforce. I agree with that 100%.
I do too. I want to go back to something I said in the SWO locker room, which I think Sloan and I formed our friendship off of this, where I said it is such a pleasure to have Sloan as a referee because as a play-by-play commentator, the referee is so important to what we do. I have seen some bad referees. I'm not going to name names, but I've seen some bad. And it's not Lance. God damn it. Leave him alone. I've seen some referees that are like so bad at what they do that you're waiting for like the storyline where they turn heel and they're a biased referee, and then it never comes, and you go, shit, because the job is to never piss on the referee. Right. Commentators as well as wrestlers don't piss on the referee, don't make the referee look stupid. And then it's like, well, goddamn, the referee is making themselves look stupid. And now I look stupid because I'm not pointing out that the referee is fucking bad at their job. So it's like to have someone like Sloan that is very good at her job, knows what she's supposed to do, makes it so much easier and doesn't make me look like an asshole and screw up my credibility because I don't have to sit there and have that problem of like, well, crap, I can't piss on the referee because then that looks bad, but the referee is pissing on themselves so hard, and now I look bad because I'm not pointing out that the referee is being fucking terrible. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, a shitty ref can wreck a 5-star match.
Mm-hmm.
And your words are very touching. I definitely appreciate them a lot. But to play into it, there's still a lot of pressure, especially working 4 or 5 times a night and making sure that I don't shit the bed on anyone's spots. It can be heavy, but
man, you're the senior official.
Thanks,
now.
Nate.
Whoa.
Thank you, Nate. All right, here's a question from our old friend down in South Carolina, Christopher Vance, who says, do you have the favorite match so far that you've refereed?
Ooh. I think, honestly, every time over the past year that the outfielders have had a tag team title defense has been probably my favorite match of the night. They bring such a unique spark with their product, and it's like I have to bite my tongue sometimes. I just wanted to start giggling and cheering along with them.
They really try to corpse you in there,
yeah, but they just, their talent, their energy, everything about it. I've never once been like, yeah, it was a good match. Like,
I mean, Weber Hatfield comes over and tries to corpse me and the professor on commentary once in a while.
Yeah, I get gassed watching Hatfield come to the ring. I don't know how that guy does it.
150 miles an hour. So former referee Robbie Mills said that's why I became a wrestler, because he doesn't want to do the referee anymore.
I just think he was afraid of me being senior official.
They are so funny. Love them. Yes.
Yeah, they are great.
Let's talk about that for a second. Just for a second, since you brought it up.
Yeah.
SWO naming you senior official. What does that mean to you? Because, I mean, I know Zach Carlucci, who was probably one of your mentors, taught you a lot of things. But Zach Carlucci was that person for a long time.
Yeah.
The senior official. And now in SWO, as far as Susquehanna Wrestling Organization goes, it's you.
Yeah.
So how does that feel, taking on that role?
It's huge, honestly. And Nate Andes, he didn't tell me about it beforehand. So I'm standing at Gorilla. He's doing his pre-show announcements. And he's like, blah, 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 officials, whoever it was, and new senior official. And I'm just like, I go full John Travolta gift.
Such an asshole with that stuff, isn't he?
Yeah, he does that too.
Asshole with it.
He called the Professor Keith. I remember this. Called Professor Keith the voice of SWO for the first
and he
time.
didn't fucking tell me about that either. That's why I say, like, I love him, but he's an asshole.
Yeah. He looked at Keith, like looked at him.
Just that pressure on somebody. Like, damn.
Yeah.
No,
thank you for that.
It's very rewarding. You know, because I know, like, objectively, I have the most experience in the business out of officials who work for SWO. But you know, it's reaffirming every compliment that I get. You know, the wonderful things that Keith and people like him have said to me about how I do in the ring. I feel like having SWO recognize me as senior official, like it really, it's almost like my little diploma saying that that like everything did add up into something.
Yeah. And you get pops now when you get announced. You know, and I know that, and I know, let's be honest, like that wasn't the same in the beginning when you first came to SWO. No. It was not that. And now you're getting, now when they announce you, you're getting pops.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I feel guilty because occasionally my pop is louder than the one they give for the boys. But
but you know, you earned it. Like I'm starting to get little bits of pops too. Like the first time I was doing the entrance and stuff, people were like, "Oh, okay, this guy." It's like, all right.
Yeah.
Now Professor, I'm going to get the return pop on June 21st.
Well, I know, and I mean, you get a bigger pop than I do, and that's fine. You've been more public facing than I've been.
Well, I was the ring announcer for 18 months.
That's why I'm saying you've been more public facing than I have, and all that. But I mean, like Sloan said, it's very nice when you can come out and it feels like, oh, they're paying attention. They're understanding, because we work in front of the same people for the most part. I mean, at this point, I can say year in and year out because I've now done a solid year with the SWO. I started under the old management about halfway through, and now I've been with the new management at least a solid year now with that. And it's like, it's very gratifying, and I want the fans to understand that it's very gratifying when you guys turn around and start recognizing us, because everybody here is not, we're not the boys, we're not the ones in the ring, we're the facilitators, we're the guys and gals that are trying to add something to what's going on in the ring.
We're the spice, Professor.
That's our job. They're
the main ingredients, we're the spice.
They're doing.
Bottom line,
tell their story.
All right. Got a question here from Nate, who says, any advice for up and coming refs? Good question. What's the most important thing to remember?
Great question.
Honestly, one of the things that's helped solidify and open doors for me has been always remembering that you're never done paying your dues and you're never done learning. Anytime I go to any company and I see that, chairs aren't up, I'll start throwing chairs.
Right.
And just as an example, I went to a booking with another company, and it was my first time meeting the promoter, meeting 98% of the talent. And I made a point of being there early so I could contribute. I could show them that I was there. I cared about the product.
Yeah.
And bringing that into the eyes of the people who need to see it, I think has helped make a difference. Do your training, do your workouts. You might not need to be a body person because you're not taking your shirt off most of the time, but having some cardio, a little tonedness to support your movements, because fluidity and endurance are important for referees. Getting up and down and back and forth and dodging stray feet or a chair from a crazy fan.
And know the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. You should also know how to referee.
Yeah.
Know the rules.
Christ, please.
And if you don't know the rules, ask. Whoever's training you, ask.
Right.
Especially if you have a commentary team, because your commentary team is preconditioned to not shit on you. But my God, if you don't know the rules, if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, you are screwing your commentators, because they are not going to put you, they are probably not going to piss on you. Like I said, I'm never going to piss on anybody.
We'll try to explain what
I can't put you over if you don't know what's going on. And my whole gig when I show up is I want to put everybody I see over. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to fuck you over, especially because if I'm play-by-play, I'm the audience's voice. In theory, I'm the audience's trustworthiness. Know how to do your job, because if you don't, you're not only screwing yourself, but you're screwing me, because now you're screwing my ability to get the audience to trust me and trust you that you know what you're supposed to do. Like, I know everybody knows it's a work and everybody knows that it's predetermined, blah, 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 blah. But they're looking at us to not sit there during the magic show and tell them that the magic is fake and how the magic is being done. They don't want us to do that. Let's do the damn show the way we're supposed to do the damn show.
It's still real to me, Sloan.
Damn it.
Yeah.
One of the things that still sticks in my head, I can't even remember who I first heard it from, is the referees need to be a shoot. They need to be viewed as a shoot, and they need to portray themselves as one.
Yes.
I mean, with my background being a wrestler in the past, like, I know what I can and cannot let them get away with. And I know that I'm able to mix into matches a bit more than most referees. So sometimes we can push that a bit, but by pushing that, we reinforce the legitimacy of it as well. So, not only knowing the rules to enforce them, but knowing the rules so you can use them to enhance the overall match itself. I'm not going to say never. I usually do not overshadow the wrestlers in the match.
Right. Very true.
It's important for me to still have that presence. I don't need to be in every camera shot, but if someone's got someone in like a crossface, I need to get in there and check it.
Right.
And I need to know where and when and how to check that.
Yeah. All right, I got a question here from my name is Bobby saying, what was your first experiences as a ref? I mean, you could talk about that first time, because I'm sure you were nervous, and I'm sure, I mean, because we all were nervous, but talk about that first time if you can remember it, and you don't necessarily have to tell us who was wrestling, but how you felt.
So it was really funny, actually. I showed up to SWO once, like 5 years ago, and I introduced myself to the booker at the time. It was Donovan, Big Van Valley.
Big V, yep.
Yeah. So I introduced myself. I was like, hey, I referee, I can manage, I've got some gear. Let me know if you need me. He didn't need me, so I helped with setup. I helped with teardown. I came back the next month. I helped with setup, and he's like, hey, I need a ref. You want to go? And so fast forward to I'm standing at Gorilla before the first match on the show, my first time going out as a ref. And Don looks at me and he goes, hey, you know what you're doing, right? I said, Don, it's a little late to figure that out, but just watch. And I don't remember what the match was, but I remember I went out there. I had the biggest knot in my stomach.
Yeah.
But once the wrestlers were in the ring, I called for the bell. It just kind of synced together. It just like being able to be in there and have a presence without being the presence in the ring. Like that really hit home for me in that first match. And I think
we got some great questions coming up, man. These people I love these people. First off, this guy here, Prince Piranha, you all know him. Yo, Sloan, hope you are well, number one. And why did you stop wrestling and start to ref?
Okay, that's a good one. I get that one a lot. So I was in a program with a longtime veteran guy who worked across the seas. And he wound up having some post-concussion related trauma. Oh. And he's no longer around. And that's the Cliff Notes version. But when I was working with him, we did a lot of stuff with weapons, and I had a work accident maybe 2 years before that, and I got a wicked concussion. So between getting more comfortable doing more weapon-y matches and then seeing something like that happen to someone that I was working with, I really I needed to make sure that I was healthy and safe, and I needed to make sure that I was healthy and safe for my wife and my kids. So I hung up the boots and put on the stripes.
Fair enough. I respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's another question, which from Chris. How do you referee I think he means, do you referee a championship match differently than other matches? Are you more strict? Do you enforce the rules more during a championship match?
God, I hope you don't.
No.
I gotta say, as a commentator, I need that leeway. I need it to be able to say, it's a championship match. And I always put that over. It's a championship match. You're going to let more go. You're going to be more a little slower on the count because you don't want it to be a double count out.
The answer is no. She probably doesn't referee championship matches differently. However, as you and I have seen, Keith, that, like you just said, they might be a little bit more lenient as far as making a DQ in a big match situation.
Right.
Sloan, do you find yourself doing that?
You might count a little slower.
I keep my counts consistent, but I am much more verbal about, hey, that was 4. If you get to 5, you're DQ'd, it's over.
Right.
And, I make a point of getting the point across. I see what you're doing. I know what you're doing. Watch yourself.
Right.
So things like counts, though, I keep those consistent, or at least I try to.
Yeah.
It's the DQs, it's the count outs, it's the not finishes that I don't want, because I feel like those disappoint everyone except for the one competitor who benefits from it.
Right. And that's why I say I try to put that over on commentary of like, you try to give the referee more leeway. You try to be able to go like, well, no, because nobody wants non-finish when it comes to a title match. Because the one thing, I've heard about it down south and whatnot back in the day is people would know that the regular match was a work and, oh, that's predetermined. But there were people who would swear up and down like, oh, but when it gets to a championship, that's real. That's the real one. That's the one that it matters. Never mind the logic of like, but if you work everything until then, how is anyone fine? Whatever. As long as you're paying your money, we're good. Whatever you want to believe, you're paying your money. It's fine. So I mean, but that's the story that we're trying to put. When you're at the championship, people want a winner and they want a loser, and you've got to be able to maintain that as much as you can, especially if we're not necessarily getting a clear winner or loser and we're going to come back and we're going to run this thing back. You've got to make people feel satisfied enough to buy that ticket again, even if they didn't get that clear winner or loser that they wanted.
Right.
Do you ever see yourself going back to a wrestler? Chrissy?
I would love that so much. Is it realistic? At this point, I'm not sure. I talked to my wife, my spouse, my friends about like, oh, if I come back, I want to use this as my song, or I should do gear that looks like that. I never switch off that creativity that I had as a wrestler for piecing a gimmick and evolving it. I have talked to some folks that have some pull in SWO about how I would love, maybe just a match here, or put me in a tag match, or let me show up in a scramble or something.
Right.
I mean, I think I've proven this year I can take a hit and I can back it up if I need to. So,
or surprise entrant in the Gauntlet for Glory.
Yeah, just little bits and bobs here and there. I think I would feel comfortable with the risk to reward there, but I don't think I could ever see myself going back to full-time wrestling.
Tough questions here, man. Yeah. Way to go, Chrissy. Good job. I love when a ref fights back, and I think it's bogus when a ref looks weak. How do you feel about the stereotypical ref bump when the ref takes a light hit and goes down for 10 minutes? Good question, Nate.
Yeah, that's really good.
I like Nate. You got great questions. Yeah. You hate Lance Marshalls. Woo!
Yeah. No, it's a great question because, like, I should not look stronger than a ref or than a wrestler.
Yeah.
And, I'm a big girl. Like I'm 5'9". I'm broad. I'm a broad. So, sometimes I'm in there with like the little cruiserweights and I'm like, all right, if this guy's going to bump me, like it better be good.
Yeah. It should all look good so we can sell it.
Like Piranha, you better bring a chair.
Yeah, it gets.
But the second part of the question though is like, how do you feel about other referees and not just independent, but also you see it on TV too. You see AW referees do it. You see where they take that bump in the corner, they get smashed in the corner, and they're down for 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, I think. If the ends justify the means. Mm-hmm. So like if someone grazes my face with their boot or something, then, it makes sense that I stagger to the corner. I come back a moment later. Right. If I get grazed in the chin with a boot and I'm supposed to sell down, like, I feel like it's the responsibility of the ref to work with the workers to figure out a way to justify the ref laying down for 10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
I logical proportion will help suspend the disbelief, I think.
You don't want to tag. Can't trust anyone on that roster.
bit of bitterness there. I mean, fair.
Yeah.
Piranha, because Piranha, every time he tagged with anybody in SWO, they turned on him. You notice that?
Yeah, I did.
What's with that? Like, is it Piranha or is it everybody else? I don't know. I love Piranha.
I'm pretty sure I love Piranha here, so he's got that in his favor.
Yeah.
You know, Professor loves Piranha. We love Piranha.
I do. I've never had a problem with the brother.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. We go back real far.
I'm just saying.
I'm Kevin Nash. I'm Kevin Nash, like in the business. I've never had a problem with anybody. You don't have a problem with me. One guy said something once, but he never said it to my face. So,
okay. Yeah, I'm sure plenty of workers and fans have something to think or say about me, but until they say it to me, I'm not going to sweat it.
Yeah, exactly. We have a problem. Come tell me about it, and we'll probably work it out. I'm a pretty reasonable guy, especially because, like I said pre-show, like I'm a very lucky guy. I haven't taken a single class or anything in what I do. I'm just a dumb, lucky bastard that somebody
thinks I love your outfit.
Aw, thank you.
Nice. Wait, Sloan and Robbie Mills would be a great tag team. Both once senior refs. What would be the name? I challenge everybody watching right now. What would be the name of that? Go ahead, Sloan. Go ahead.
As much as I love Robbie, I don't think he ever was the senior official. So
he was not.
He was not.
Yeah, he doesn't get that feather in his
head.
But
he was a former referee. So
yeah,
I challenge everybody watching right now. What's the name that tag team? Name Sloan, Hollis, and Robbie Mills. Professor, you got an answer? I'll give you time.
I'm gonna try to
put him on the spot.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have a name either, but I don't know. No. Sloan, you got a name? You don't have a name?
I don't, but it would be fun.
Yes. It'd be interesting. Definitely interesting. Definitely entertaining.
Robbie likes to use that Superman punch. I mean, they
good bad ref, good ref, bad ref.
So like I'm
which one's the bad?
Yeah, which one's the bad? They're both good. And Robbie is trying to be bad elsewhere, and I yelled at him because I'm like, you dummy, nobody wants to frickin' boo you.
Slow count connection.
Although that's not nice. Neither one of them have a slow
I like Nate though.
That's not nice.
Oh man.
Come on now.
Nate's killing it tonight. All right.
Yeah.
I got nothing though. I got off the top of my head. Professor, maybe you got 25 minutes, Professor, to come up with something.
Yeah, I was thinking because Robbie uses the Superman punch, and they're both referees. Just a baseline thing, Super Stripes.
Super Stripes.
It's not great. It's not great, but it's there. We can. It's something to throw out there, like a round one. We'll work with it, kind of thing. A baseline idea.
Mm-hmm. Super Stripes.
I've been doing this for like 30 ass years. I can just go. There can't be a Steve Williams. You just be Steve Austin. It's fine.
Steve Williams.
There's already a Steve Williams. Go be Steve Austin. It's fine.
I'm trying to think of some kind of portmanteau of our names, and
right, yeah,
it just isn't flowing.
That's where I was going. Yeah,
yeah.
We'll figure it out. Anyway, somebody will figure it out. It's a slow count connection.
Yeah, we got time. I'm not down with that. They're not slow counters.
Right.
Their counts are very consistent. It helps.
All right, and Triple C, the consistent count connection.
Slow counts are what kills my life, and I just sit there like I'm not supposed to piss on the referee. But my God,
Robbie Mills is watching. So Robbie, what's the name of your tag team with Sloan Hollis?
Yeah, it's like I hope for Christ there's a heel turn in here because God damn it if there isn't. My life sucks right now.
Yeah, you're waiting for Nick Patrick, and he's
right, exactly. And it's like nobody Nick Patrick's, and I'm like, fuck, I look like an idiot right now. I didn't call this guy out.
All right. So you got an event coming up. I know you have some podcasts coming up. I know you got some wrestling events coming up. So let's talk about all that. Okay. We've talked about your past and everything and leading up to now.
Yeah.
And now you're the senior official of SWO, but you are spreading your wings. You are getting out there in other places. So let's talk a little bit about that. and what you got coming up.
I have a busy summer, but because of that, I'm not working again. I'm not working a show until July 19th.
Okay.
I'll be going back to Bell to Bell. We work out of the Monster Factory in Paulsboro, Jersey. It is such a fantastic show. Missy Sampson owns and runs the whole shebang. And that woman puts so much heart and effort, not only into the product, but making sure that everyone behind the curtain is safe and can have a protected and enjoyable time. She came, she's been in the business for decades, and going through that as a woman in the years that she did, I can only imagine the kind of shit that she's seen and heard.
Yeah.
And to be able to not only have something like Bell to Bell so close to where I live, but to have been given the opportunity to go work there. And then, like, I call Missy Mama. Like, I adore the woman. She adores me. It's always a great time when I'm in that locker room and on that show. And I can't thank Missy enough. Whether or not she ever sees this, I'll keep kissing her ass anyway. She's a hell of a woman. Yeah. I've got that, and then July 28th. Thanks, Piranha. Yeah. Come on, check it out. It's only like an hour 20. It's not a bad drive.
Yeah, Bell to Bell is getting some mainstream coverage too.
Yeah.
I'm seeing PW Insider Extra is picking them up.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me is mainstream coverage of the independent side, because that's their independent side coverage. So yeah, definitely a show I got to get out to. I mean,
we've got some real exciting stuff coming up later this year. I mean, of course, the stuff leading up to it's going to be amazing, but there's some good shit on the horizon for Bell to Bell.
So what were you saying about July 28th?
July 28th, I'm taking the haul up to Bristol, Connecticut. And I'll be making my debut with Kaiju Pro Wrestling.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm real excited for that. I stumbled upon the promoter as a friend of a friend of a friend, and we just got to chatting, and it clicked. It seems like she runs a real healthy locker room, and I'm really interested to be able to run it. I mean, it's like a 5-hour drive for me. And to be able to...
I was just up through there. Well, because last week was my wedding anniversary, my 10th wedding anniversary, and we decided to go to Newport, Rhode Island. So we drove through Connecticut, and that was my first time up in New England, and we did a day trip to Boston. We saw a game at Fenway Park. It was all cool. Learned a lot about the Revolutionary War. And stuff like that. It was great.
That's awesome.
Checked out. Yeah, I was at Cheers when Norm died. It was just,
I'm gonna try to forgive
everybody's on their phone. I'm literally at Cheers and everybody's on their phone and they're like, yo, George Wendt died. George Wendt. Like, I heard 10 people say it, and I'm like, what? So I go on my phone to confirm it. Yeah, it was me. It was totally me.
It was you. It was.
You put that juju out there.
It was a sad coincidence, but anyway. Went through Connecticut. Let me tell you something about Connecticut.
I was in Boston years ago. I went to Cheers. He didn't die.
Can I say something about Connecticut? Connecticut has the best roads in the country.
Really?
Because I guess because they have money and they spend a lot of money on their Department of Transportation or whatever. Because their roads are immaculate, perfect, clean, no potholes. Anywhere I've gone in Connecticut, that's the case. And as soon as I cross into other states, and I won't name them, that is not the case. It's night and day. You're like hitting potholes here and there, or you're hitting rumbles here and there, or you're hitting this, that, and the other thing that happens over winter. And we're talking about a state that gets plenty of snow, so there's no excuses. I don't know what it is, but I swear to God, Connecticut had the best roads I've ever seen in my life. That being said,
now I'm kind of excited about the drive now. Like.
I love it. It's good. It's a very good, quiet drive. Not a lot of traffic, as long as you don't go through. As long as you don't, you're going to Bristol, so you're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna hit like the major huge cities like Stamford and Hartford and all that stuff. You're gonna go around all that, I think. Mm-hmm. 3 count for the tag team name.
Have to check if WWE still has a trademark.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Al. Thank you, Chrissy. The Ref Riders.
There's something there.
There's something there.
Yeah, I'm not settled, but there's something. That's like round 2. That's like a round 2.
I love it, man. That's the front runner name. To me. That's the front runner to me. I don't know anyway.
That's what I'm saying. That's round 2. We're next level. I don't think we're quite there yet, but that's the next level.
Yeah.
So you won't be back in SW. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was just bantering about the tag team thing. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So you will not be back in SWO for June 21st. You'll be back.
I'm going to miss June and July actually.
Okay. And July. Okay. Just to be clear, because the professor and I will be there, and the next SWO event is At a Time, which is Saturday, June 21st at Seven Valleys, and But
if anyone knows of a cheap DeLorean, yes,
they have DeLorean. They have DeLorean rentals, but they're not cheap.
Yeah. I think it's like $2,000 is the one.
Yeah, that was our problem. Yeah. That's why I'm saying I'm hoping there's some guy that bought one and is like, fuck.
I wish I was that guy, Professor, because that's one of my favorite movies, and that makes me love General Kiesel even more, that he has admitted that is his all-time favorite movie. I thought it was be Star Wars, knowing his character, but
you would think,
Back to the Future is, as you'll see, Sloan, at the end of our show, our show ends with an outro, and at the very end of that outro, it has a quote from Doc Brown that says, "When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit." That's when the professor knows we're off the air. That's when the professor knows we're off the air, and he can really tell you how he feels.
I'm sad I'm missing this show. Especially that main event. I'm real bummed that I'm missing out on Kim Spirit and Zach Belmont.
Let's talk about that. Would you like to talk about that? Let's talk about this. Since you won't be there, I'd love your insight on that. How do you feel that's going to go? And it's interesting that the story between those two goes back a while, right? I mean,
and that's part of my investment in it is, I've been following, I've been part of SWO for almost 5 years now. So I saw them working as Beauty and the Beast Slayer. I saw when they drifted apart for a little while and Kimberly picked up the Uprising title.
Yep.
And then they got back together and they worked as a tag team for a while. And then Kimberly is doing Kimberly things these days. But, I still love her.
Let's say it. She's a POS.
If it's what it says on her paycheck, then that's fine. But
that's what it is. But
no, we didn't really some static contracts. So I'm not sure how.
So do you think it's easier, Professor? Do you think it's easier for Zach Belmont easier now to take on a Kimberly Spirit than it would have been a couple of years ago?
I don't think so, because I think at the end of the day, it's still someone you've tagged with that you've been. I mean, let's face it, Zach Belmont and Kimberly Spirit have had a similar problem, really, with Ken Andrews before Ken Andrews has finally seen the light and become an unlikely defender of all that is SWO. Zach Belmont hasn't commented on anything of what Kimberly Spirit has done. I know we've asked him. I know Sammy Grace has asked him. He's refused to grant interviews about it, said it's a private matter. I don't want to talk about it. I'm focused on defending the title and everything else. I mean, for Zach Belmont, I can't imagine the emotions that come up for him in, I've got to defend the title, and I've got to defend the title against Kimberly Spirit. And that, to me, is kind of the unspoken challenge. We all were focused for a couple months or so here on that big rematch with, the New York Drip, Matt Vertigo, and what we're going to see with Vertigo. And I think he was so focused on that, and he didn't think this was going to come up with Kimberly Spirit. And now this could be the gravest challenge to his title that we've seen. And we also know, too, Benny Slater is lurking in the background. He has that briefcase. He has that title shot that he hasn't been talking about. He's been lulling us in with that, I think.
Go ahead, Sloan.
One thing that I'm really intrigued about with this match is that over the last 18 to 24 months, Zach and Kimberly have both grown so much as workers.
Absolutely.
I see firsthand just how much the extra training, the extra workouts, the discipline that they have on their off days is paying off for both of them. And their work rate's going up. And I think for both of them, no matter how much time they spent in the ring together in the past, they're not the same person as when they were tagging even a few months ago.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's really interesting to me to see not only former tag team partners fighting for the big championship of a company, but to see people that I know have been putting in so much grind and so much effort to keep improving.
Absolutely.
And I'm really bummed that I'm missing out on this match.
Well, you can see it, and SWO fans who can't make it to at a time can see it on SWO's YouTube channel.
Yes,
you'll get full coverage of that. Usually goes up about a week after the event, and the professor and I will have the call. Christopher has another one. Have you ever made a mistake refereeing, and if so, how did you cover that, or if it ever happened?
I'm sure it's happened. Every dog has their day. So, I know that there are matches where I wasn't on point like I should have been. It's hard for me to think of instances where I made a particular mistake because a big part of being able to perform is being prepared to cover mistakes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I may watch one of my matches back and be like, oh my God, why'd you do that? But in the moment, it's just, oh, I fucked up. Let's cover this and keep going.
Right.
And
which promotion has been your favorite to work for? And feel free not to answer that.
Yeah, we don't want to create heat here.
Yeah, we don't want to create any problems. But, I get the question because, but the thing is that when you're trying to work for multi-feds and then you're trying to make a name for yourself out there, saying one of them is your show usually goes the wrong way with other people. However, we can say that the one that you got your start on is usually close to your heart, and that's true with any independent wrestler, referee, manager, commentator. Yeah. It's the same. The one you got your start with will always have something in here. Yeah. And so that would be SWO. But as you get to Bell, as you get to Connecticut, as you continue to keep spreading your wings, so to speak, you might come across one you're like blows your mind and be like, oh my God, like,
yeah, I do want to throw out the old Atomic Championship Wrestling.
Okay.
It was the company I trained with that I wrestled primarily with them. And they're not running, but I learned a lot. I made a lot of connections, and even though they're not running, and I'm not sure if
Where did they run?
Stevens, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And sometimes we would work Reverb, the club in Reading. Yeah. But I just wanted, I wrestled with Atomic, And then when I came to SWO as a referee, it has become my new home.
Right. ACW, that's where we met.
That is where we met. Yes.
Yes. He said you didn't check my ribs when Naeem hit me with a big stick. Big mistake.
You're a big kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we were having that mistake conversation, and that comment came in a little late, but okay.
That's all right.
It's all good. Okay, so we're winding down. We're winding down here. So I would love to know, where do you see yourself as far as professional wrestling goes in 5 years?
I would love to get some kind of broader audience. I'm not saying that I'm expecting to have a contract.
Yeah.
But my goal with my position in the business is to be seen. I literally and figuratively wear my identity on my sleeve. You know, and I want to show people, I want to show the queer community that you can do it. You're going to have your shitty days. You're going to be knocked down, kicked in the ribs, spit on by life. But finding your community, finding yourself, finding your place in the sun is so possible. And I just want them to be able to look to me and say, hey, look, there's a trans person on the TV. No way. I never expected that in pro wrestling. And, you know, I want to give those moments to people.
I love that. Being a father, you know, my son met his boyfriend up in Michigan, brought him here, has come to some SWO shows, and has seen you perform, and has enjoyed every minute of it, and has asked me later, Dad, who was that referee? That means a lot to me.
Wow.
That you inspire people like in what you're doing, and I want to applaud you for that, and I'm sure the professor would echo that. Applaud what you're doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's best compliment I could possibly give. We got a lot of love coming here right now. We love you, Sloan, all this cool stuff and everything like that. I got one last question I want to sneak in.
Okay.
Which is, if you ever did wrestle again, who would you want to have a match with? And I'm going to put the word first, just in case you wrestle more than once.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a match that you, if you could see yourself down the road getting back in the ring as a wrestler, who would you like to work with? That's the real thing, I think.
I want my first match back to be a triple threat against Zoe Cannon and Kimberly Spirit. Wow. Because I love those two women to the moon and back. And
in front of the Three Legacies crowd or in front of the SWO crowd?
Why not both?
Okay.
Yeah, why not both?
Why not? Love it. That's a great answer. Oh, that's a great answer. Well, listen, we're gonna wind this down, but I want to applaud you for everything that you're doing, not only for your community but also for everybody in the back. You know, everybody gets along with you. Everybody loves working with you that I've seen or that I've talked to. You bring a lot to the table, and I just wish you the best. And getting to know you has been a pleasure. Getting to become your friend, the professor and I, has been a pleasure also. And we wish you nothing but the best. If you need our help in any way, we're here for you. Professor, talk to her.
I love our fucking locker room.
Oh my
I really do. We have the best goddamn locker room, the most welcoming, the most supportive locker room you could ask for. And you know, it's such a pleasure getting to know you, and it helps me because both of my nieces are in committed relationships with folks that are also trans. So it helps me be more sensitive, more supportive, more understanding of all of that, because I always say I don't know what I don't know, and I never want to be ignorant or a dick or unintentionally a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps me being able to talk to someone, interact with someone who's in that different lifestyle that maybe I don't know about, maybe I don't, it's
Right.
not been my experience until now.
Exactly. Different lived experiences.
Right. So it helps me expand my understanding and not be unintentionally offensive, because, Al's son is also my nephew.
Okay.
And, Al's kids are also my nieces and nephews.
Wow.
At this point. So whatever they're going through,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going through it with them. So it helps me be a better uncle, be a better relative, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so great to be able to experience what we all experience together. And that's why I've been looking forward to this show so much, is to be able to kind of share you with everybody else in our audience that maybe doesn't know you, hasn't seen you work, all of that good stuff. We're putting something out there that hopefully is enlightening other people. That's what I hope for every week. Is everybody walks away from around the turnbuckle going, gee, I didn't know that, or gee, I didn't think about something that way. Education is so important. We can all learn. As long as we're here, we're always learning something.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what we're all about, Sloan. We've been doing this now for 5 years. So you're a monumental guest in a lot of ways, but I will tell you that you are our first guest in our 6th year on Around the Turnbuckle, because we started. This is the beginning of our 6th year now. We've been doing it for awesome. 5 years total. So this is the start. You are the first guest of season 6, if we have seasons. But the professor and I try to have a new guest on each and every week. But number one, I want to shout out everybody that watched tonight live. There was a ton of people commenting. There was a ton of people asking you questions. I didn't even get to any of my questions because I just everybody else. I love everybody that was watching. Chrissy, Nate, Christopher, all you guys, Piranha, all you guys that were watching and asking Sloan questions, because you made my job extremely easy today.
This was fun. Stick
this
around.
Hour went like that. Sloan, we want you back. We want you back in like 6 months to a year, see how you're doing. We usually do that. We usually have somebody back in 6 months to a year just to see, just to do a catch up and stuff like that. We're going to definitely do that with you. But
great. I can't wait.
Anything else that we have before we get out of here? Anything else that we did not talk about or cover that you would like to talk about at this time? Yes, Chris, you've been watching 5 years.
I do have another podcast that I'm going to be doing in the near future. I feel very bad because I cannot remember their name off the top of my head.
Wait, I think you sent me a message to that.
Oh, okay, good.
Hold on, I think I got that.
I remember you putting it over, and I remember me being very jealous and being like, "We got to be on the list."
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and then of course it was Al being Al, and like, "Oh, I didn't tell you we're doing this." Like, you motherfucker.
Al being Al, come on now.
Yes, you being you.
Nope. Not the name of the podcast, just says another podcast.
Wait, hang on. I think I can find it. If we're all going to check on our phones.
You can check on your phones. We're totally fine. We're good. I want you to get that promo in there because we don't shun from promoting other shows. We love certain, we have made some friends in the business and they have their podcasts too. So, in fact,
and I don't think we're competitive with anybody. I don't think anybody's competitive with anybody.
We have our audience, they have theirs.
And I mean, the bottom
we might have a bigger audience than some, but I'm not bragging, just saying.
We have a smaller audience than some other ones.
You got it. Go ahead.
So the show is called Wrestling All Day Every Day.
Okay.
Yeah, they're down in the South. I want to say Kentucky area.
Yeah.
And I've been watching some of their stuff. They've got some pretty solid content coming out. They're off to a real solid start, and I'm excited to be able to not only help contribute to their product, but once again, more visibility, more opportunities.
Exactly, more eyes.
Yeah.
This was one of my favorite shows. Thank you for all your answers to your questions, and good luck on your future, Chris. Now listen, Chris is a friend of mine from high school days, but he has watched almost every single 99% of every Around the Turnbuckle in the past 5 years. For him to say that this one of his favorite shows, that's saying something.
That's awesome.
We've had over 300 guests, and they range from, somebody who's been in the business for 6 months to somebody who was a WWE Hall of Famer. So we've had, So I'm just saying that for him saying that's really cool.
It's touching. I really appreciate that.
Love it, Chris. Good job, man. All right. Sloan, don't go anywhere. Professor, do you know who's on Around the Turnbuckle next week?
Of course I know who's on Around the Turnbuckle next week. It's Mark Mast. We're going to sit on the learning tree.
Mark Mast. Visiting with our old friend. He's had some difficulties lately physically. He's had some difficulties family-wise. But we always love catching up with Mark. Yeah. And Mean Mark Mast will be right here in the hot seat next Sunday at 7 o'clock on Facebook Live and on YouTube.
The worst named gimmick wrestler in the world, because I can't say never, because I did work one show. I did work one show where I saw Mark get hot.
But Professor.
When Mark gets hot, it's like.
But if he did his job when he was Mean Mark Mast, he was very damn convincing.
That's true.
If he's behind the scenes as we know him, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mean Mark Mast will be here next week. Follow us on YouTube, or follow us on Facebook, rather. Join our Facebook group to promote your shows. Come on to the YouTube channel and subscribe or share. We appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight and commentated tonight and asked questions to Sloan. Like I said before, it made my job very, very easy.
Yeah, stick around. Hopefully we'll be worthy.
Come back. Please come back.
Yeah.
We will see Sloan Hollis again for
absolutely
Professor Keith and the cutest ref, Sloan Hollis. I am Big Al. This was Around the Turnbuckle. We'll see you guys next week.
You think you know me?
Oh yeah. If you smile. Calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see